Hello, hello, hello.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Well, morning, Kenny. Thank you ever so much for giving up your Sunday morning.
No worries.
Appreciate it.
I think I appreciate the invite. I think this is a good thing to be talking to the hobbyists from the other side, from like outside of US, to get like it's a learning experience for me as well, because I know that you guys get certain corals in, you don't get certain corals in, and you do things a certain way, the methodologies and everything. So I'm open to learning a lot from you guys too. So
I don't know what you're going to learn from me.
Expectations.
Expectations. But no, listen, thank you ever so much for coming on. As I said to you just then before we went live, we've got a live audience so that are used to seeing us on a Sunday morning. So thanks to the 20 odd of you, 30 odd of you now that have tuned in to have a chat with Kenny and hopefully ask some of your long-awaited questions. So I'll jump straight in and say good morning to those of you that have joined us. As always, we've got John Boy with us. Morning, John. Hope you're good.
Morning, Johnny boy.
Happy Sunday afternoon. Keep nearly saying morning, afternoon. Matty Boy's with us in the house. Morning, Matthew. Hope you're good. What else we got in here?
Straight away again.
Tecklen's Reef. Good morning.
Afternoon.
Afternoon, even. I knew I was going to do this.
You've read afternoon.
Dear. My lot. Hope you're good. What else we got in here? Mo. Afternoon, Mo.
Well done.
Teckers, I already said Teckers. Harry's here. How you doing? Bandit is in the house. How you doing, Leroy? Hello, Melinda. She's in Australia. Good evening. What else we got in here? Let's have a look. Dirt Devil's Reef. Afternoon. Timothy. Hope you're good. Reef Rondo's in the house. Afternoon. Cammy. We've got Steve with us. Happy Sunday, mate. Hope you're good. Liam's with us. Afternoon. Reefy Reese. Steve Fox is with us. Afternoon. Hope you're good. Tommy B. Happy Sunday. Welcome, Kenny, from Tommy and Sharon.
Thank you, Tommy. Afternoon.
Peter Parry. Don't do it as well as Drippy, but I heard I missed out on seeing him yesterday at Wheelie. Hope you're good, Peter. Catch up with you soon, mate. Happy Sunday to you. Dave Bensley's with us. Afternoon. Hope you're good. We've got, we've said Refreeze. Anthony's with us. UK 120. How you doing? Who else we got in here? Willem. Afternoon. Chris. That's a new one. Nice avatar. Good morning.
Morning.
And I think Dan's here as well. Afternoon, Reefers. Hope you're good. So there we go. So yeah, 35 in the chat. Hopefully a few more will join us along the way. Spiller's Reef, good morning to you. Good afternoon, wherever you're from. Thank you. I don't know whether any of you gentlemen are watching YouTube in the background, but I can hear my voice through the microphone. So if you haven't got it on another channel, you might want to mute it, because it can be a little bit distracting before we get started. Not you. Is it you, Steve? No?
Nope.
Dave? Kenny?
Me?
No? Okay.
Unless I'm missing something.
Right. I think it's gone now. Anyway. So then, Kenny, it's 8 o'clock, is it? Or sorry, it's 8:05 where you are, New York, the big New York City, the Big Apple, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of cloudy, kind of gloomy outside early in the morning. Yeah. But I'm usually up around this time anyway, in the morning.
Well, that brings me on to ask you: do you usually spend? Is it Sunday your day off, or are you in the farm today? What's your normal sort of Sunday ritual or routine?
No, today I'm off. I'm not at the shop or the farm. I'm actually. Well, I think I'm always working, even though I'm not at the shop. There's a lot of other things going on too. But my true day off, I would consider Friday my true day off. Okay. My kids are at home, and that's the day when I actually try to relax a little bit. But other than that, Saturday, Sunday, because we have the reef and bid, a lot of auction end on Saturday, Sunday, and a lot of emails come in. Stuff we have to handle. So Saturday, Sunday, I'm still kind of like on the computer, on the email.
Always working. Always corals.
Always, yeah. It's the life of
Never
coral.
stops.
Coral life. Yeah.
Talking about corals, before we start getting into corals, which I'm sure everybody watching is eagerly anticipating to look at some amazing corals, and they are. Thanks again for sending them over. I just want to go a little bit backwards and talk about sort of the man behind the coral farm. So I've read a little bit earlier and last week when you agreed to come on. So you weren't always destined for a coral farm, were you? You were, if I'm right in saying, you went down the economics route. Is that right to start with?
Yeah, so I assume you touched upon that article on
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting read. Yeah.
So that came from that article is interesting because it was around 2022, I believe, and the business was going through some I wouldn't say basically, stuff was happening, and I was in a kind of a like the mood was not great. So I wrote an like some kind of manifest of my personal manifest about my view about business and how my personal life on a group, and one of the journalists picked up, and then so it was a great idea because I talked about how I turned my great paying career, I changed from my great paying a good paying career to selling corals, and then I got a family to support, and I felt like at that time I didn't feel like I had anything good to show for it. The business was not doing that great at the time. So I wrote some kind of manifest, and then the journalist picked up and said, I think it's a great story. Somebody it's like, got great interest, so yeah. So basically I was doing programming. I worked at an advertising company. It's actually a British company called AKQA. It's founded by a British guy from UK. It's an advertising place, and I was building advertising app campaigns for them from a technology side of things, and it was a great paying job, but I decided to do this. As you know, nobody makes, we make a living, but nobody gets rich off of selling corals, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really a passion thing. But anyway, the programming job, the tech job, was getting out of control in terms of hours, and then I wasn't appreciating the culture there anyway. So I want to look for some kind of, I guess, quarter life or 1/3 life crisis as well, because I'm looking for some type of meaning in the things I was doing, and I love this thing with corals, So I try to really do it, try to really make something out of it. If you read about read the article on the journal, it basically said like my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and I had a conversation about what I really wanted to do, and she was super supportive. I think a large part of that comes from a good support system. When you have trying to do a startup, you need to sacrifice a lot of time, and if somebody behind you is constantly giving you shit about how you can't spend time, then your mind is not focused. So anyway, she gave me a lot of support on that, but all at the same time, she's like, you have that plan, this thing's not gonna work out. You gotta have a backup plan, and that's what really gave me some kind of ultimatum. Like, look, within a certain amount of time, you gotta make something out of this. If not, you gotta go back to your 9 to 5. And I recognized and admitted to that. But anyway, I think I got lucky, and I was fortunate enough to meet great people along the way, and fortunate enough to work with not only great colleagues, also meet a lot of great customer and clients that really help propel me. So I think it's as far as I think a lot of them appreciated the passion and appreciated the the love that I have for the hobby, and I just try to do right by everybody and be genuine in the way I approach the entire topic of reefing. So here I am. I mean, a lot of it is appreciated. Like you guys, like obviously I can't do any business with you guys over there, but I think by talking to you guys, it really allows people to get to know me, or I appreciate.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of the network. Definitely. Am I right in assuming that you, from what I read, you started with tropical? Is that right?
Yeah, freshwater. Yes, yes.
Freshwater, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Tetras.
And then Tetras. And you got the bug for the saltwater. And then did I read something saying that you spent $35,000 in 1 year on your salt aquarium setup? Is that right? On stock, on corals and fish?
No, I spent close to $80,000 to $90,000 on corals in 1 year.
Wow.
So I was getting paid. Look, so I was getting paid $120,000 a year. That's my salary at that time, $120K salary. So
wow.
But after tax, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After tax, your walk away is probably $80,000-$90,000. So
wow.
I spent a lot on corals, and when you start collecting, things start to go out of control.
Yeah. Wow. And that's when you sort of decided at that point that you'd invested all that money, and you I suppose your background in or your time studying economics was a kind of a bit of the mechanics to put the wheels in motion and start getting some money out of it.
Ignorant in terms of money. I was financially illiterate. Let's just say that. I admit to that, and that's why I spent that much money. Any sane person would not spend that kind of money if you made that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you made $1 million. If you make $900K, you spend $950,000 on coral, you made $1 million salary. That makes no sense. So that's when I had that's when at the time we had that talk. You're like, what are you going to do? We're about to start a family, getting married. You can't be spending like this. So I either quit spending like this and be unhappy, or sell something and make something back, have something to show for the money I spent.
So were you hoarding then, or was the plan to sell? Did you just want one of everything, or was it? Where did that? I suppose that addiction come from? How did that start?
You just gotta have it all, right? You just gotta have it all. Like when it comes to SPS, you guys know how it is,
Yeah, I do.
That's why if you want, you in the reefing hobby, especially you collect SPS and you're thinking about doing business out of selling SPS, it's really hard. It's really hard. You know how much it costs to start up, and things die, and then and then you ship them and you deal with DOAs, and just too much to handle, a lot.
So $89,000 into the system in coral.
Around there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dare I ask, what was your biggest purchase? What was your most expensive? What was your most expensive investment piece? Can you remember anything stand out?
In one shot?
Yeah, in one shot.
It was actually fish. Around 2010, 2011, 2012, I would say. Gem tanks at that time was still super expensive for America. I don't know about you guys. I know you guys are closer to the region they collect them from. Yeah. But for us, gem tank at that time still cost $3,000 a piece, and it was considered the holy grail of tanks. I bought 3, okay, and I was still living in an apartment, and my business was still fledgling at that time. But I felt like if you can sell rare things, people know you can offer rare things. Like your catalog kind of represents the type of seller you are. So I felt like I needed to, because I couldn't sell volume, then my margin better be high on these sales. So I not that selling high end stuff is supposedly glamorous. It's just that I felt like because I couldn't sell like 20, 50 boxes a week, each box better count. So that's why I thought, all right, let me try gem tank. So that's the biggest purchase that I so you think about it, at that time was a lot. Yeah.
Well. Yeah. And how long's Piece of the Ocean been running now then? How long you had it set up and running for?
Depends what you're asking, right? So I started the business really in 2009, 2010. But in 2014, when I had my first child, that's when I really considered that the start of the business, because when I was really doing it for serious, because I literally moved back to my parents' house, took out the basement, 400 square footage of space, and then turned the entire thing into operation, into a shop. So 2014, that's when I considered the beginning of that. And then 2018, the milestone in 2018 was when I moved out of the basement and opened up the brick and mortar shop.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool. And how many people are in the team at the minute in the business? How many of you is there?
So entire team consists of six.
Cool.
Well, it's me, William's my business partner, Jessica is customer service in the back office. We email support. She also does photography.
Yeah.
And then you have Christopher Sabella. She's he's also well known in the reefing hobby in the US. He's on Reef to Reef. He's known as Sabella fella. So the reason why, and also Peter's been with me since the beginning. Peter actually my childhood friend. He's not into the hobby at all, even to today. But he's been with me since 2014. Helps me do shipping. Because in 2014, 2018, I was still working a 9 to 5. So during the day, I needed somebody at the shop in the basement to basically do testing, do shipping, answer questions if customer, So he would text me question, I would answer, I would shoot question back to him, and he would relay the message back to customer. And then there's also Kevin. Kevin is started out as an intern for us. He's still in school, but he's juggling school. He's like half school, half reefing. And then so you understand the role of how we do things. Me, Chris, and William, we are all SPS addicts. We're Acro addicts. So I think the reason why we've been successful at raising and selling SPS is because we have a good team. A lot of times you see the pictures and video I post. It's not all of them are by me. Okay, the other half is actually by Chris. Chris does great video and pictures, and he has a tank at home. We just bounce ideas back and forth. And just this past week, Chris and I actually got an argument over why some of the corals in one of my tanks bleaching. Because it's actually, I think I'm going to start talking a lot if we start getting into that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there's
how many people on the team? So that's 5 people on the team. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. All right. And you fall out every now and again, which we'll come to, which is interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
We all butt heads. Yes.
Right, okay. Well, we're nearly 20 minutes in, and I think it's about time we looked at some corals. So I'm going to jump into some of the ones that you sent me earlier. Let's have a look here. So this is a tank you've sent me. Is this in the farm at the minute then? This is a bit of a sort of display tank you've got?
Probably 3 years ago. It's not like that anymore. If you look at the, I just posted an update, like some shots of the video on Instagram. You can look at it, it's completely different now. So you see the biggest difference is running Stratton, ATI Stratton on there. We took it down. We replaced that with the Rebreather Meridian. The reason why we did that change was the ATI, it was just so hard to control for us. It's still the Gen 1. So the Gen 1 is you got to Wi-Fi into the light to do controls. And I like to do a lot of photography and content on this tank, but when I do manual control on that, I always revert back to the daylight. So that's been on kind of like bothering me a lot for. And then this fish, unfortunately, so when we do the chain, we swapped out the rock work because the whole tank, the rock was like covered with, not covered, but it was becoming an issue with the vermetus snails. And then back then I was able to get in there, crush it. And then the bumblebee would just like swarm and take care of the issue. But as the colonies got bigger, it was hard to get under the colony to get to the vermetus snails, and it became an issue. So we decided, you know what, let's swap out the rock work. And then during the process, we lost this beautiful angel right here, my favorite fish.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So that's, we actually I told everybody, let's hold a moment of silence for him because I was the fish in the tank.
Dave, you approve of the fish? You like your angels? Yeah.
Gotta love them, mate. Gotta love them. Yeah.
Yes. What camera is getting used here, Kenny? What's the setup here on the photography?
So this one was taken with the Canon Canon 90D, and then I believe the lens was a 60mm macro lens. So I had to step far back away.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely incredible.
Awesome. Yeah. Right then, let's have a look what we got here. Yeah, nice. How long did you have the Strattons for then before you decided to swap them out?
I'm sorry?
How long did you have the Strattons on for then before
Oh,
you swapped them out?
I picked them up when they first came out with them. So I can't remember, maybe probably like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is my favourite. Sorry, go on, Josh.
I was just gonna say, I'm right in saying your tank is literally as soon as you walk in the door, it's the first thing you see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember watching a video that you guys uploaded about it a year or so ago, and I was just blown away by it. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I think Worldwide Coral came by, and Victor and I were standing in front of it. I think that's probably the video you saw.
I think so. Yeah.
So then, is this the Kingdom of Art? Kingdom of Hearts?
Yeah, this is Kingdom Hearts. This actually came from Route 66 in the US. I'm not sure you guys are aware of them. They're pretty OG here. They've been in the hobby even before I was in the hobby. I mean, they were selling coral before I was in the hobby. So I visited their operation, the warehouse. They only do wholesale here. They're out of California. And this is one piece that caught my eye. It looks like, if you guys know, in America, there's two corals that we call. One is the Pinky the Bear. The other one's called the Vivid Confetti.
Yeah.
So this is like it's got the best of both worlds. You know, you get the Pinky the Bear look, then you got the gold polyps from the confetti, and then the thing about confetti is that it loses that gold polyp after a while if you give it too much light. But it retains that gold polyp. That's what I like about it. Yeah.
And am I right in saying that this is a piece from watching one of your other videos on your YouTube channel? This is a coral that you lost, but somebody had a piece of it and you had to get it back. Is that right?
Not this piece. That
Not
was
this piece. Oh, right. Okay.
There were two pieces like that. One was the flamethrower.
That's it. The flamethrower. Yeah.
And then the other one was the Optimus Prime. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
This is a Archangel. This is what called card. This actually was originally an Australian piece that we brought in ourselves. Oh no, this actually came from Route 66 too, but they had an Aussie shipment. Yeah.
Wow.
This thing took off since we swapped out the rockwork. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What do you put that down to then? Flow, maybe?
Oh yes. We had 6 power heads on that tank. Now we only have 3. We swapped out the gyres and the MP40s with 2 Hydro Wizards, and those things are monsters.
Yeah. Steve, you all right there? People are asking if you're frozen. You still with us? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
The most stationary man we've had on the live stream.
He's having a little sleep.
Oh dear. The colours on that are what's your favourite then? Australian, Indo? Got a preference, Kenny?
In terms of regions,
just corals that you get, in terms of ranges of.
I think I like it, maybe because the optics of the variety of the type of varieties coming out. I feel like Australian corals have more varieties now than the corals out of Indo, because you kind of expect it, right? You look at the coral, you know, oh, that's from Indo. But sometimes you look at some of the stuff coming out of Australia, you kind of, hey, I've never seen that before, you know.
Yeah.
So
cool. What's this one?
This is the Afterburner. Yeah. It's kind of like, it's like a smooth skin, but also got that tabling E-flow look with the boots. People like it a lot.
Very lot like an F-flow, isn't it?
It looks like Natalensis. Is that it?
No, I don't. That's probably
like rainbow look and leather pink tip.
Different formation, I'd have said, Steve, that one. Anyway, moving on. Try again, Steve. Next. What's this one, Kenny?
This is the Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to ask you. I was going to ask you a little bit later, but I'm asking you now. Who decides the names of these corals with you guys? Do you take it in turns, or do you have play a game, or is there a story maybe behind one of them that's interesting to tell us about?
Unfortunately, most of the time it's me. I wish, I mean, sometimes the guys name, William names some of them, Chris names some of them, but I would say 75% of the time, unfortunately, it's me. And I know their names are kind of corny, but I feel like it has to have a name. People, I can find. Yeah.
Well, there's one that I kept reading in here. Was it? And is it called graduation? Something to do with graduation? No.
College fund, you mean?
College fund. Sorry, college fund.
I didn't
College
know.
fund.
Close,
College
mate,
fund. You knew where I was going.
Yeah.
Tell me about college fund. Where did that? Obviously, there's I'm assuming there's some
That was
funding.
not my piece, so that's not a piece that we grew out. That's a piece by John here in he's out of Texas.
Yeah.
Reef Works, that's his business name.
Yeah.
So he had a booth at a Reefapalooza. He had a booth across from mine at Reefapalooza, New York, and I just from afar I could see like sticks, in his tank. He's just a stick guy. So I went over. I won a piece that I got from him. We did a little bit of trading, but that piece from John. He's the one. I think he named it.
Okay. I was just curious if it was a coral you were growing in your dorms at college to sort of fund your social life. Maybe.
I mean, it's obvious what the intention is.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
In the car, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
That's the confetti.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That.
Beautiful. Dave, are you converted yet? I know you're thinking about putting some sticks in the new tank. No?
No, I'm still on the old wavy LPS symbol.
If you
No,
get
I am
the
going
polyps
to.
out of these, they'll go nice and wavy for you. It's fine.
Yeah, it's true. I'm growing love for them a little bit. I'm going to put a few SPS in the new tank, definitely.
Oh man,
So-
once you do SPS, it's gonna be over for you, Dave.
Game over.
Game over, man. Oh, these are nice.
There was one that I remember you guys uploaded, Kenny. It was like a gold coloured one in the display, and the polyp extension on that. You might as well have called it an LPS. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
I can't remember which one it was.
Was it the gold polyps? Or do you mean neon polyps? Might have been neon.
No, they were like it was like the whole coral just looked a really nice yellowy gold. I'm trying to see if I can find it now. It's absolutely insane. That would convert you, Dave. Definitely.
Yeah, there's some very nice ones here. How many corals are you keeping? Do you know at any one time? How many different species, or how many? No,
Absolutely no idea, man. I can tell
you never want to count them up. No.
I mean, on our website, we have, as far as stuff that we are selling as frags, our collection, we have like close to 200 right now, but that's nearly not like half of what we actually have growing. Yeah.
Wow.
How do you remember all the names?
Well, if you name them, you remember for sure. So I remember 75%. If you didn't name them, then I will have to consult guys here.
So you said earlier about you've got you. Have you got tanks at home then, or have you and your team got other tanks in case something happens in the farm? Have you got a bit of a? I know people have got contingency plans for power cuts, maybe with generators, but have you guys got plans if you had a problem with the system? Do you have friends in a network or a social circle that have got pieces of these corals?
Yeah. We try to spread it out. I recently set up a tub at my house. Chris has a Resi and a frag tank, and I also trade a lot with believe it or not, I trade a lot among the vendors, the guys I know that do well with SPS. Like the good example of it, it wasn't intentional, but one good example, one of the guy here called Graham. I talked about him a lot because a lot of the POTO pieces I got back from him. But I know I traded with coal collector Nand. You guys know him probably. PRC, Renato. I trade with Thurman a lot. Thurman is another very very productive guy in terms of SPS.
Did you say sorry, Anand collectors corals? Did you?
Yeah.
He's coming on in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, I'll be talking to him. Yeah,
he's got some crazy stuff coming out, right? Got the Aqua Whiz coming out. That's interesting. Yeah.
Cool. Right, a couple of questions for you from the audience. Mo's asking, where were these corals back in the day? Do you think modern methods have a role in bringing out these colours, maybe royal blue, violet LEDs, or are they just more adventurous at collecting them these days?
So I guess the question is LED, more like LED versus halide, and then the trace element dosing versus just Kalkwasser calcium reactor. So when I started out the hobby, when I was a newbie, I was buying coral at a guy's house. He was running T8 tubes, the thick one,
Yeah, the big
and
ones.
all purple. And he had corals growing out to the surface of the water, like like the torch and whatnot. And then another example is when I used to run halides in the basement, and I would run Kessels as blue supplements. When I turn off the halide, the blue Kessel on, like the Walt Disney or whatever crazy colors that you see, they all show. So I think the colors are there, but the LED brings out, not meaning like they push it, like not make the coral create that color pigment, but I feel like it allows the eyes to see it more. It shows.
That makes sense.
So in terms of color intensity, I feel like it does have to do with how much light you're giving to the coral and how intense the blue spectrum of the light is. So I think with the LED does that for me. But I think in the LPS world, it's a lot more prominent if you really take a look. Like the Ganioporas, the crazy color on the Ganis, the chalices and acans. The LEDs really have a big role in that. But trace element and whatever, I don't think it makes a difference. I think back in the days, the colors were always there.
Okay, fair enough. What sort of par are you cooking the sticks at in the farm then? What, if anything, any levels you go for, or do you just turn them on and let them get used to it, let them acclimatise?
So mostly on the Radions, except the display tank that now is under Meridian, and I don't like to put any green or red channel. So it's like green and red channel is always 0. It's mostly white, cool white, and then blue, royal blue, violet. So blue, royal blue, violet, those are all 100% at all time, and then the whites come on for a few hours. So that's mainly the general level. As far as par is concerned, we hardly test, but when we do test, it's around 350 to 500. But you gotta remember, we run the raceway tubs. They are 12-inch deep.
Yeah.
So there's not much variation in terms of par.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of nutrient level are you running with that kind of par?
Oh man, that's another topic because it's different. Every system is different.
Right.
Here's the thing, because we let different guys run different tanks. So I don't run all the tanks in the shop. We'll run some tanks. Chris runs some tanks, and they all have their own style and methodology.
Yeah.
So when they do it, they may run it at different, levels than me. So for me, I like to run it pretty high. I like to feed a lot. But for some reason, my nutrient level is always very low, no matter how much I feed. Sometimes I feel like if I'm at the shop, say there's one day I got nothing to do, I would feed every hour, just frozen food.
Wow. That's why you've got a detritus trap as deep as that. You put your finger in. I'll never forget that.
Yes. Only that tank has, and then that tank is like, it's weird, man. Like that tank gets messed with the most because we also ship a lot of frags from that tank.
Yeah.
But we don't dose any trace element in the tank. There's absolutely no dosing. It's just calcium reactor, calf flosser, skimmer infused. That's it. Nothing else.
Wow.
Trace elements.
Do you think there are some trace elements that will come out of the coral skeletons that you're using in the calcium reactor? Obviously, with it, I'm assuming it is coral skeletons you're using in the reactor. There's going to be some trace elements that come back out, aren't there?
Yes and no, because a lot of trace elements that we're targeting these days that we know now. So it's also targeting coral tissues. So you got to think about the corals. They build skeleton. That's basically calcium bicarbonate. There's really simple structure there, the chemical. But the tissue, the biological side of things, the tissue, that's what a lot of trace elements target. And it's very complicated. I tried to do some research into it. It's highly complex, the tissues, the tissue of the corals. So I think the calcium reactor and really just helps the coral build its skeleton. But they also have growth tissues to cover that skeleton, right? And then the colors gotta come correct on that. there's a lot of intricate biological process that happen within the polyps that facilitate the calcification, and then those they leverage trace elements. So I think the reason why back in the day we didn't do a lot of trace elements because we neglected the fact that when we fed frozen food like seafood, shrimp, those have traces in there in themselves. And then you look at the back of your prime reef flakes, or look at the back of a lot of dry food, it lists out all the trace elements that we target from our method, from the moonshine methods.
Yeah,
like manganese, whatnot, they're all in the back of those foods. So based on that, I feel like back in the day we were already adding traces into the tank. They were present, but not in such a targeted way as we do it today.
Okay, cool. What's your take on antibiotics, Kenny? Question here.
I think it's good to use outside the tank if you have a specific corals. Like we use, we do a lot of bath outside of the when we have trouble corals. We use, we have witch hazel. We try Cipro. But all of this is done outside the tank, not within the tank.
Okay. Okay.
And I do agree with the statement of, you over antibiotic your tank, just don't want to be part of that. I don't want to.
Yeah. Melinda's asking, I thought ABs were much harder to source in the UK compared to the States.
When you talk about AB going to Resi, the AB, Resi AB?
I don't know
I
what she's meaning.
I don't know if that's maybe autocorrected from Acros. Maybe.
Angry Birds?
Yeah, don't know.
Maybe Angry Birds, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Let us know, Melinda. Sorry, don't know what you mean by that one.
I'm not sure about the dry side of things, but I don't know. AB, it's a tenuous. A lot of these names come out of the States.
Pretty sure
not
they
sure
meant
what you mean.
antibiotics or something, huh?
Mel's asking, what percentage? Why?
Probably 50 or 60.
Wanting to know, he's wanting to copy you. You actually share your settings, don't you, on your website? Is that right? I noticed that the other day.
Yeah,
your lighting
on
schedule,
website,
Kenny.
you can download
right?
the settings. Yeah, about 50, 60, I would say.
Do you use LEDs on all of your systems then?
I'm sorry, do I what?
Do you use LEDs on all systems?
Yes,
just
all LEDs
LEDs
all systems, yes. Primarily, as the primary means of lighting, LED, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a couple of tanks that we run some PT5s on it. I would say probably two tanks. The detritus tank we run, great. I'll call it the detritus tank. That one runs T5, and then Chris's tank runs T5s.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, sorry, Melinda was saying ex-nurse, ABs, antibiotics she was meaning.
Yeah.
So
no,
I thought antibiotics.
Sure. I'm sorry, I'm not sure about that. But here you can run antibiotics. Yeah, pretty readily.
Ours have to be prescription only.
They do. Any of you gentlemen got anything you want to ask Kenny before I look at some more corals? Steve, Dave, Josh, anything?
No. Let's have a look at some more coral.
You said you're running calcium reactor and Kalkwasser, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you just run both of them 24 hours?
Yeah, so the calcium reactor is constantly dripping, and the calc is dosed. We give it like a set amount, and then just spreads out through the day. So some of the store we dose a certain ml per every hour, entire day, and some of them we just give the doser like certain amount. Let's dose, certain, say 2,000 ml, just spread it out.
Okay.
And we also use it concurrently with the top off too. So I run both just as a redundant, because sometimes the top off can clog. So I have a dosing pump to dose additional just in case it clogs. But at the end of the day, it will add up to the entire top off volume of the tank.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Right. The police are here for somebody. Right. We've got a question here from Mr. Sam Parker that sent a video question in for you, Kenny. I'll throw it on the screen now for you, if you don't mind answering us this one.
Hey Kenny, Sam from Parker's Reef, a YouTube channel down here in Australia. I'm a huge fan of Pieces of the Ocean. I love the work you do. My question for you is, on a scale from 0 through to 100, how true to real life are the colors that you have in the pictures of your corals? Because the stuff I see, man, is to absolutely die for.
Yeah. First of all, Sam, nice to meet you. Nice tank you have there. I would say 100%, man. I mean, it's hard to believe, I know, but people that have been to our shop, I mean, there's no way we can be in business for so many years, you know, faking it, because we have people coming to the shop. We have videos done on us, you know. We bring our calls to shows. We have none to hide, you know. So if we are faking color, it's easily caught, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I amaze myself sometimes. I still, you know, if you at the shop and we look at the next, sometimes the call just surprise you from the corner, like, holy shit, and everybody just start like, come on, check this out. Look at, you know, it's just like one of those things, you know.
Yeah.
And then we take a picture and like, and then I show you, does this look too fake?
Oh, you're so modest, Kenny. I love it.
No, but that's what it looks like. So yeah, I mean, again, you know, there's no way we can be in business for so long and do those type of run those practices. No way. Yeah.
I think the fact that a lot of you do lots of shots of like your display tank and things like that, it kind of speaks for itself, because you've got the fish in that in there, and if the colors were saturated or fake, you would see it in the fish. So I mean, there's plenty of evidence on your social media that shows your colors
it's not like
exactly what, you know, they are.
I mean, you know that there's a lot of shop here in the US. I'm not sure over there. They actually don't allow visitors. They completely closed off. But we are open to the public, right? So,
yeah.
And you have prominent people coming. You have a lot of prominent people in the hobby to come in and look at our stuff.
Yeah.
And again, I reiterate that we bring our corals to shows, fresh swaps, you know, in front of people so they can see. And you know, they always say, "Wow, Kenny, this is crazy," you know, like. You know, so
right, let's look at some more corals then. What we've got here. So then, talk us through some of these, please.
You know, nothing. Just to follow on that question, though, I think a lot of it has to do with photography, because I spent a lot of hours learning how to take photos. Maybe because look, like for example, this picture, right? You notice that some of the podcasts are different, but if you look at it from 3 feet away, you probably wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
But now that I zoom in on it with a camera and grab the details, so a lot of details are not usually commonly seen by naked eyes. So when people see it, they're not used to it. Oh my God, this is amazing. Is this real? Well, but if you take a microscope and, you know, or like a magnifying glass, you can see the detail. That will amaze you too, right? So I think I'm fortunate to have been able to take good photos. So yeah.
Yeah, these are nice. Very nice. That's a question I'd like to ask. Oh, go on, Josh. Sorry. Go on.
I was going to say I did find the coral that I was on about. I've sent you the Instagram of it, Tom, of the reel. It was the dream catcher, I believe. Yeah, the dream catcher.
The dream catcher is very hairy. The colony we actually so we have that colony. We sold it to a customer, but I have a small piece going back out right now.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely incredible piece.
A question one of our one of our friends wanted me to ask you, Kenny, regarding colour the yellow in corals. What's your opinion on maintaining yellows in corals?
Oh, I think a couple of things, right? I think they're all highlight corals. They're yellow corals. That means they thrive on the high par. And also, I think high nutrient import with high nutrient export. Basically, give them enough to eat, but not enough nutrient lingering in the water.
Right. Okay.
That would bring. So I think happy, well-fed corals are corals that are going to show you colors. Like one thing I always say, it's like you feed your tank, but you don't feed your coral. Yeah. Feed your tank. So allow the food pyramid to do its job. Let the fish eat the food, and then let the fish break down the food, and whatever the food when I see a fat tank drop the poop on top of my coral, that's my happy moment. I was like, oh, my corals are getting fed. And because I feel like, look, I'm not a scientist, right? I'm not a biologist. I don't know the science behind, the biology of my tank. But based on experience, I can tell, like, when I have a lot of fish in the tank, my corals are always happy. The colors always come through. Like 10, 20 years ago, if you go on a forum, people say, my corals are pale. What is the consensus of advice that we're given? Add more fish. So that's been around since like 15 years ago. So that still remains, today. And today, I think people are still apprehensive of like having too much fish or having too much nutrient in the water and whatnot. But we have like oversized skimmer. The technology is so much ahead these days, and we take out more than we put in these days.
Yeah. Definitely.
I was going to ask you about that, Kenny. To be fair, I did a lot of looking into sort of feeding corals. I read quite a few different papers on it, and the vast majority of corals seem to do better when they are fed. And obviously, the most natural methods of feeding, so using either natural seawater or using fish poo, they were the ones that grew corals the best. Things like powdered food, so reef roid things, they weren't as good as people expected, but fish poo and natural phytoplankton, things like that, they were the ones that grew corals the best. So I'm assuming all your tanks are really heavily stocked with fish, aren't they?
Yes, as much as yes. Like big fat fish, like big ones.
Yeah.
Not small ones, yes.
Wow. That's nice. What's that one, Kenny?
This is the Shazam, Reef Raft Shazam. Yeah,
Nice.
This is old school.
Very nice. Very nice.
So, speaking of powder food, I never seen SPS coral ingest powder food. I literally just try to look. So I believe the powder food feeds other critters, and then when they produce a waste, I think the corals are able to take it in.
Right. Okay.
Maybe maybe the particles are still too big.
Yeah.
If you think about it, have you guys seen the video on YouTube of? I mean, I've seen plenty of video of people feeding scullies and LP at 8 cans taking in food, mices, but I have not seen a video like from beginning to end of ingestion of SPS powders of any powder food.
No.
I
haven't seen any. That was part of when I did the research with the paper. When I didn't do the research, obviously. When I read the papers, whenever people tried powdered foods, Acropora did nothing new. It didn't enhance the growth. It didn't help them. But real microscopic biology, so your planktons, zooplanktons, phytoplanktons, and natural bacteria and particles that are found in seawater, they were the things that grew corals the best.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the fact remains though that coral, they are heterotrophic, right? That means they do eat, they do hunt.
Yeah.
But I just haven't seen evidence of them eating any man-made food.
Yeah.
But once somebody comes out with a video like that product automatically sells itself. So
yeah, definitely. Have you ever thought about doing anything bacteria related in the farm? Like the Alan Vo sort of method?
No, I have not, because there's no reason to, because the corals are already doing well. Things just seem to work for us. And SPS guy, we don't like to deviate from our existing, whatever is proven. I mean, I don't doubt the effectiveness. I mean, there's like merit to it, but there's also counter argument. But I'm not, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a scientist. So it seems a little bit.
Right, we'll jump into the chat for you a second. A couple of people have asked some questions to you. Melinda's asking, Kenny, which SPS is your absolute favourite and which is your nemesis at the farm?
Oh, that's a tough one. People ask me that this, I give them like 10 answers.
It probably changes on a regular basis as well.
You guys did a top 10 with Reef Builders, didn't you, a little while back?
Yes. Yeah. Top 10. So I think flamethrower is really it really put us on the map. You know, it's just beautiful coral, and it's also hardy too. I don't know about you guys. It's just so hardy for us.
Well, we don't have access to it to start with.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to see
pretty annoying.
if you sent me a video of it. I've not got a video of it.
The Outer Worlds is also one of my favorites. It's just the for tenuous to have that color combo is different. Nemesis, the Orange Passion. We never seem to be able to keep. Like it would. I think it's a common story for everyone that keeps it. Like it will thrive in some tank. It will absolutely do horrible in other tanks, despite how common and how well the other cores are doing that in those tanks. And you will have a thriving colony, and one day it just peels overnight. It's a heartbreaker.
But I think, not to rub salt in the wound, but I think it's important for people to realise that even happens to people like you, because I think there's this conception, misconception to people maybe watching or watch your videos as well, that think that people who've got a farm and can grow corals to the colours and the quality that you guys do never have any problems. And I think it's not something that's talked about very often. So I think it's quite, not to sort of talk negative too much, but it's quite important for people to realise that even sort of experts as yourself still have these issues in the hobby.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we only show the beauty, because all these are called beauty shots on Instagram.
Yeah,
there are a lot of struggles behind the scene, but in recently we have not had any, I would say, heartbreakers, kind of losses. I think I attribute a lot to just over the year we have so many years doing this. We establish processes that work and we stick to it. So this discipline, and also we made a decision to not import that much anymore. We acquire a lot of our corals through just trades and from other people. Even wholesalers, we buy their farm corals. We don't buy their imported corals. Just the survivability is a lot higher. So attribute partly to that, the success of the SPS. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. Matty Boy is asking you, what parameters are crucial for Kenny? So what are the key three parameters that you'd be looking at?
We only test alkalinity on a daily basis. It tells a lot just by alkalinity alone. Phosphate, we test that. We try to keep it within a certain range. And then those are the only two that I look at. But now that we're having a bleaching in one of the systems, Chris suggests that we look at nitrate as well. And then so we start to look at that a little closer, because I always felt like, look, the way we feed, the amount of fish we keep, there's absolutely no way we zero out on nitrate.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, we actually zero out on nitrate in one of the systems that's bleaching. So we're going to try to start looking at that more closely. So again, we make mistakes, but the reason why we do only two parameters, because it's so busy, so many tanks. If we know something works, we stick to it. We don't try to overcomplicate things. But again, if your hobby is at home, I urge you to test more.
Yeah. Okay. Mo's asking you, what is your favorite light?
Like that grows corals. I don't have any affinity towards any specific brands.
Yeah.
Back then I was using, believe it or not, I started growing the first Acro I grew was under Kessel's, the A350, the Spotlight. Oh no, it was Orphix, the giant cannon. So I had 3 of those over a 16-inch deep tank.
Right.
Because at the time I came back from my honeymoon at Tahiti, so I had some kind of like what you call it, that like a light bulb like lit up. I'm like,
epiphany.
I'm in the tropics. The sun is a single source light source. So the coral, they probably more used to, accustomed to single source, single point light source.
Yeah.
And at that time when Orphix came out with that giant cannon, I don't remember what they call it, the model. It was like literally like 8 inches across, black outside, like around, and I had 3 of those. it gave, so I grew Acro into that. And then after that, I looked into Kessels. And then with Kessels, then came the halides, came the T5. So there's a famous saying by Sanjay. He said that light is just light, any light will go corals. I think probably even your ceiling light will go corals if it's bright enough. But it's whether or not it also grows like algae. Also, whether or not it brings out the color that you want to see. Yeah. So I don't really have a favorite light.
Will's saying he's been to your shop plenty of times. The corals are more impressive in person, and it's very dangerous.
Thank you.
Oh dear. So looking here, what else have we got in here? Kenny, are those top down with a viewer or through the glass photos?
So with a DSLR, I do it with a top down, with a POTO. I get that from one of those acrylic builders. I forgot the name, Building Obsession or something like that. And then the phone photos, I literally submerge the outside rim of the lens into the water. Or sometimes just pick the coral up to the surface. I turn off the flow. I throw a couple pieces of mices. The grease literally made the surface like glass smooth. The grease from the mices. So there's no ripple to the flow, and then it will be like, the entire tank becomes your top down.
Cool. Yeah. Tim's asking, what's your thoughts on adding live plankton then?
I think there's merit when you start a tank, but a lot of the live plankton, they don't live, they don't persist in our system to make an impact. They probably feed your clam, they feed your LPS, but when it comes to SPS, they benefit indirectly by feeding other things, which break down the waste, and they will produce for the SPS corals to absorb. But I personally don't add live plankton to the tank.
Cool. Okay. We've got a question here from Sapphire, who runs, or should I say, partly runs a LFS in the UK here for you, Kenny. So another question for you from her.
Hi Reefers, it's Sapphire here from Yorkshire Reefs. As you can tell, I'm not in the fish shop today. I'm on my way to a wedding. I feel like I'm doing a different kind of fishing today, which is catfishing. Hi Kenny, my question for you is, I had a look on your website and it says that you rarely test calcium. Is there a reason for that? And my other question is, who are your favourite kind of customers?
Oh, okay, two questions in one for you there.
Yeah. So first question is, why don't I test calcium? Because we are looking for swings, looking for trends. The testing is not to hit a certain number. The testing is to spot trends and issues. Generally speaking, if the alkalinity is steady or it follows certain trends, the calcium follows. It does not give us much insight, and we consider the amount of time we have to spend with testing calcium in all these tanks. It does not render any meaningful insight. If everything is on point, then there's no point. And the second question was, I'm sorry, what's the second question?
What kind of customers? Kind of favorite customers?
Oh, those are spent. Again, all our customers are favorite customers. They know like favorite, least favorite. Because like even you spend like $20, you add up because I know it will come back. Because all our customers are addicts. So no, it's true. Like I'm an addict. Everybody say that. They just I think the ones are the ones that don't quit, right? Meaning they can still want to come back, but also at the same time, that means they do something right. So yeah.
Controversial question, Kenny. Do you is there customers you don't sell to? I.e., like if there's a customer you don't think's ready for maybe a high-end SPS?
Yeah, we do turn down sales. Like some customers try to spend a few $100s on a frag, and then we tell them, you have a 20-gallon, you never kept SPS before. We try to steal them away, because in my mind, I would rather sell a very expensive piece to somebody that can keep them and propagate, and then in case I lose it, I can get it back. But I do tell it, hey, try this one instead. If it does well, then come back. And we had a customer that wanted to buy Achilles from us, and we resisted like for a long time not to sell because he only had a 40-gallon, right? Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Kenny, I'm getting a big tank. I'm getting a big tank. And so we sold it to him, and he wants another one. And I was like, no way. One is enough. Get your big tank. Take care of it. It's still living, so we're glad, but we don't have some to kill this tank. He's crazy. So, we don't, we just, especially when it's our pet, he buys our fish like that we have for a long time, and we can't let him go to home like that. Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's cool.
What's your biggest reefing mistake then, Kenny, that you've ever made?
Oh, lots. Biggest reefing mistake. I mean, they're all big. Whenever you have a loss, they're all big. But never.
You ever done anything just like leave the ATO on or switch it off when you do something and not switch it back on? Anything that stands out? Anything that's
Okay, I have one. So when I used to live in an apartment, I lived on the top floor, right? And I was dosing interceptor. So interceptor makes the skimmer go crazy, so it will overflow.
Yep.
So I knew that. So I ran the line into a bucket, 5-gallon bucket, thinking,
Oh no.
only 5
I see where that's going.
sleep, right? 3 a.m. I heard a doorbell ring. So the super and the neighbor downstairs were like, is everyone okay? Is anybody, is everybody okay? Because the smell of the skimmate overflowed bucket seeped through the floor onto their mattress. And because they had they thought somebody died in my apartment. Like, somebody in the bathtub or whatever, like, because they would, people, most common folks, they don't understand, that's the first thing you think of, right? Terrible thing doesn't happen. Water flowing, it smells like, so what is that? Are you okay? Is everyone okay? So no, then I said, oh shit, maybe my skin will. So yeah, that was a bad one. Had to go do insurance for that. I would say that's the biggest mistake.
Yeah. Wow. Right, let's look at some more corals then. So, what have we got here then? Fox flame, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great coral.
Very nice. Ooh, very colourful. Nice.
Fruit snack.
Yeah. Nice.
Funfetti. Yeah. Also, a lot of colors, right? You notice, you go back to the picture before.
Yeah.
The colors come
Look
in
at that.
when they're aged, when the polyps have aged. So the new growth, they're still colorful, but you see some of the colors on the base, they start to turn gold, and those are the oldest polyps. So I think, like the home record is a good example. Got the pink on the coral lights. They don't come in until the coral has aged for a certain amount of time, and it's a growing piece, so it gives you that nice contrast as you grow outwards.
Very nice.
So when people buy fresh fish, you don't see the colors. That's because a lot of time we cut from the outer. Depends on what we cut, right? So that's why colony is so important, that it shows people what the coral can turn out to be. Yeah, we see buying a frag, you only get 2 colors, but if you let it grow out, the colony can get these other colors too.
Wow. Steve, it's me whose trident's going off in the background. So I got ribbed for having a trident, Kenny, in a box. It was probably in a box for 6 months and I never used it. So it's actually on the tank behind me. And apologies if you can hear it running, because it's doing a test right now on the Niles tank.
Can we hear it?
You can hear it.
Nice tank. It's a floating tank with a floating skate. That's pretty interesting.
It's actually referred to as the ironing board by people over here, because people think it looks like an ironing board.
It looks like an ironing board.
Is that the Gen 2 Stratton?
Yes.
Cool. How do you like it?
I love it. Yeah, there you go.
Controller, do you control through an app now, or it's still like Wi-Fi?
Through an app.
Through an app?
Through an app. Yeah. Through an app. Yeah. It's the tank's only been running about 4 months now. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah,
4 months. Okay, very young.
getting there. Yeah, very young tank. Very young tank. Right, what else we got in here? Yeah, very nice. Which one's this one? Sorry,
It's the same coral. As before.
same coral, just closer in picture, different picture. Right, got you. This is the ice glacier crack, is it?
Glacial crack. So I didn't name this. Chris named it.
Well, I was going to ask you where that name came from.
Yeah, let him have fun. Let him have fun. It's his coral. He sourced it. He acquired it. So he has the right to name it. Yeah.
Very nice. Ooh, look at that. When do you guys decide that the coral's ready to be fragged then? Do you have a specific measuring tape that you go from, or do you look at, I suppose, branches or?
We always frag the corals and see how it responds. If I frag a coral, it heals right away, start growing, continues to grow, does not stop its growing, and then the frags are doing well. They'll say, hey, this coral is good to go. But if takes a while, the coral is kind of stunted. Then we're like, maybe this coral is not ready. So, and we try to frag from the stuff that we frag. We try not to frag from the main colony. So we made separate pieces, and we frag those and then see how they react,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oof, very nice.
Good morning.
Yeah, very nice.
This is our Goofy home wrecker.
Goofy, I was just about to say that's the Goofy one, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Grafted. Talk us about this one then. Is this something you've been playing around with in the farm, or is it how you bought it?
This is one that we're having some difficulty with. It doesn't grow that well, so we're trying to hold on to it a little more.
Okay.
That's right. So you don't see us selling this a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. It's grand finale.
Very nice. Still not doing it for you, Dave? No.
Yeah, little bit. You know what would happen though? You chuck them in the tank and it just bleach out. I'll be named Drippy the second one, I say.
Tom, show that dream catcher. That'll convert him.
Hang on, I think we've nearly finished here anyway. Let's have a look. What do you suggest to people, Kenny, when they buy corals then from you and they have problems? Do you have a bit of do you give people I know some vendors give people a bit of I suppose, a guide in terms of how to acclimatise, or do you do anything like that at POTO or not?
We don't. Well, first of all, we have a guarantee on corals from us. We do a 14-day guarantee, but I feel like information is all over the internet. It's has so much information. People do things their own way. We do things our own way, and I don't want to say our way is the only way. So we don't necessarily tell them how to acclimate. And if you, by the time you're purchasing SPS, and you should know about how to acclimate your corals, right?
Yeah.
But if not, people do email us saying how should I handle your corals, and then we just respond back with how we would, and then we'll go from there. But we don't necessarily send a guide out per se, because there's no one way. There's different ways to do it. There's no one wrong or right way. I mean, there are wrong ways, obviously. Like there's a funny story. I going back to your previous question, mistakes I made. When I first got into the hobby, I encountered red bugs. So I looked up information on it. And one of the forums, some guy said, "Oh, freshwater dip," So I freshwater dipped my Acro, and I killed it. So,
Yeah, I was going to say it wouldn't end too well.
Yeah.
Wow.
These corals are actually from my home tank.
Well, that was a question that Ron was asking, actually. Do you have a personal reef tank at home?
Yeah, I have it's not a tank. It's not a glass tank. It's a tub that I just to have extra space to hold some of my more the special pieces. Yeah.
Is this the last dragon? This one, something like that? Is that right?
Yeah.
Getting the names right? Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you're good with the names.
I'm trying. It's frustrating, though, because as we all know, we can't get any of this stuff over here, but we'd love to.
So,
But,
when you guys get coral, do you get it from like only Australia or Indo, or how's that work over there?
Josh?
I think there's a lot of Indo, isn't there? I think there's a lot of like Indo direct imports.
Bali, like Indonesia, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of it'll be maricultured stuff that's coming in bulk.
That's the
not
annoying
really any
bit.
sort of hand-picked special stuff like you guys get. It's a lot of the remaining coral, shall we say? Whereas I think when the likes of America and even some of Europe, they get to hand-pick what they want because the demand isn't as high here. We sort of get the other stuff, if that makes sense.
So it's meaning you guys don't get the volume that the States get.
Yeah. So because we've got the lower volume, obviously it's sort of like second or third choice compared to what like maybe the States gets when they're picking from the importers.
Yeah, I saw some post by one of your vendors over there. I think his name is Signature Corals.
Yeah. Signature Frags. Yeah, Christian. Yeah.
Yeah, he has really nice stuff there too.
Yeah.
So okay. So do you think like the UK reefers, they more into sticks or they more into LPS or?
I think there's a big mixture, if I'm honest. We've got where I am in the UK, there's barely anybody buys sticks, but then you'll have other regions where I think it's quite stick heavy. But there is a real mix, I think, of reefers across the UK. For such a small area, especially, there's a lot of variety going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
I think a lot of it as well is with LPS corals, they are easier to keep the majority, so people have more success with them, and because they have more success with them, they stay in the hobby for longer and probably spend more on it. Right. I think sometimes the prices of SPS frags can put people off because they can be quite expensive, and if they die straight away, they've lost a lot of money very quickly.
Yeah, but you have people spending crazy money on torches as well, and it's like,
yeah,
true.
You could just spend 100, 200 pounds on some macros and then see how you get on with it.
Yeah. How do you guys run your tank?
Oh, let's go around the room, Dave.
Go for it.
You sat there quietly in your bedroom with your tank in the background.
Not very well. No. I very simplistic setup, really, isn't it? Skimmer, reef mat, fully LPS, quite a heavy fish load for the size of the tank. A few little bits of SPS, but nothing major.
How do you
I use carbon dosing.
Carbon dose. Okay, you dose. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you guys dose? What product do you dose?
I use all for reef.
I'm the only one like you. So I do calcium reactor and calquasser.
Okay.
What about the rest of you?
I was doing the modern reef on the tank that I've just closed down, and I'd had really good results there. I really did enjoy it. I've gone from calquasser and all for reef, similar to what Sonny Hariali was doing. I moved to the modern reef, and I was starting to get really nice results. But closed the tank down, and because the new one's going to be a very beginner-based build to try and encourage people back into the hobby, I'm going to be going with the ATI. I think it's the Essentials Plus. It's the plus one, I think, so it gives you the slightly better pH boost. But yeah, so just because it's a lower cost 2-part, that should hopefully give me everything I need. So that's going to be the route I'm going down, along with some carbon dosing and some phytoplankton dosing.
That's cool. That's cool.
You're going to have fish in this one, Josh.
Sorry?
Going to have some fish in this one.
Well, that's the aim, hopefully, Dave. Yeah, that was part of the reason why I went down the phytoplankton route. I was using the Easy Reef Phyto, just because the lack of fish and the struggle to keep the fish in it meant that the nutrients were always quite low, and there was never a real high food volume in the tank. So I went down the phytoplankton route and had a look into the specific types of phytoplankton that Acropora consumed. And I did start to, before it was shut down, start to see the results. And the person that's taken on the corals now from me, the growth has just continued, and they're doing very similar, they're doing identical methods to what I was. So it's something that seems to have worked quite nicely. But yeah, hopefully there will be some fish in this tank.
Do you, speaking of phytoplankton, what species you said that the acros were taking in? Do you know?
It was the is it something crisis? What's it called?
ISO crisis.
Yeah, Isocrisis Galbana. Is it Isocrisis Galbana? It's the one that's. I'm sure it's Isocrisis Galbana.
Let you Google it. He Googles everything,
I'm
Kenny.
gonna-
He doesn't
yeah,
believe
yeah.
anything you say. He just Googles it to check.
Gotta have confirmation.
Fine.
Yeah.
Because I know Chris and Kevin at the shop, they cultivating phytoplankton right now. They're doing 3 species. They're doing Tetris,
Yeah.
ISO, and Nano. So we were originally trying to do a race conference, but I talked to a few people and also read on paper like there is proven there's proven that it's been proven that Acro larvae, like when they're young, they do take in phytoplankton.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if as they grow up, they still take that in. Just like clams, clam they take in phyto.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got important because when you dose phyto, you gotta make sure you're not dosing anything contaminated, not dosing any excess nitrate or whatnot into it.
Yeah, it was the Isocrisis Galbana that was the main one. So when I did the reading up on the papers, I think the researchers used Nanochloropsis, which is I think the most commonly used phytoplankton we have in the hobby, Isocrisis Galbana, and then there were a range of other things. And I think by far and away the best growth was always achieved with the Isocrisis in a number of different systems. And I went the Easy Reef stuff I was using, and Easy Reefs comes from, I think they are specifically phytoplankton farm. I think that's all they do. I think it's in Spain. And I remember seeing a video of the facility, and it is just a huge facility, just based purely around growing different types of phytoplankton. And that's the one I went with just purely because it had that specific one.
Oh, sorry, that's my daughter. Hey,
cheers, Cammy. Well done.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. So yeah, Isocrisis Galbana was the one that I targeted as having a decent proportion of in the phytoplankton I went with, and yeah, I seem to have quite good results with it.
Cool. And you guys also, you mentioned modern reef, and you mentioned awful reef. Okay. Yeah, I think that's unfortunately at the shop, like, we like to stay current with whatever it's the hobby is interested in right now, but we are not necessarily afforded the luxury of trying out different things and then potentially cause an issue. That's one reason why I set up my own system to try different things. Like I said, I actually started dosing 2 parts calcium reactor and calcwasser. I was talking to Tusi the other day. Tusi, you know Tusi out of the US.
Yeah.
And he's trying out I think it was modern reef. Modern reef. And he was talking to me. It sounds very interesting. So stuff like this I like to try so I can speak to people in a cohesive way. Just don't be like, oh, we only do this, we don't do that, we don't do that. But as far as the business is concerned, we don't actually try to experiment too much outside of whatever works.
It wouldn't make sense to you, would it?
Yeah.
No.
It's working. Don't try and break it, do you?
Yeah.
You talked about fish a few times, Kenny, this afternoon, should I say, in terms of having fish heavily stocked in the raceways that you've got in the farm. So if I was to ask you sort of what one fish would you have in a reef aquarium or in your raceways, what would it be? What's your sort of go-to first pick?
Tangs, especially in the Zebrasoma genus. Those are like the purple tang, selfin tang, yellow tang. I absolutely love those fish because we feed so much, algae is bound to grow. So right now, I have a group of tangs where when the frags are sitting too close to each other, they can't get to the middle. I pick up those frags, I place it on a rack. There's a cleaning station. I'm sorry. Yeah, baby. I say hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Noise. Huh? What are you doing? The magnets? Yeah, they're doing that. That's what the noise is. Say hi. Okay, there you go. Finish talking. Okay, go put it.
When are you gonna be done?
No.
Does she like fish and corals, Kenny, or not bothered?
She likes everything. She likes everything. Hold on.
Oh dear.
Sit there. Sit over there.
Yay!
All right. So what was I saying?
You were saying about Zebrasomas.
Yes. So I've been able to train them to just clean my frag plugs for me, so I don't have to clean them. So it does a great job. The blonde nasal, it's great for eating algae that the xerosomas don't eat. It's like those red algae. Like you guys, when you guys see some of my videos, people ask how come there's like those red algae in the background on the rocks, so that the blonde nasal they can eat those algae, and then they also eat bubble algae. Bubble algae is great. So those eat bubble algae, and the shoulder tanks in that group, they have different mouth structures, so they can pick a different type of algae as well.
Yeah.
And there's a paper out too. Let me see if I can share the link. There's a paper out that someone did a scientific science test of testing on the dry weight content of all the fish poop for actually minor and trace elements and the importance on the reef, on the actual coral reefs. And it's interesting. It varies greatly, but they were testing for zinc, they're testing for manganese, they're testing for iron, and all the traces that we are target dosing these days. So turns out what they do is these fish, they do the algae that they eat, they break down the trace element, and then when they poop it out in their waste. And this goes full circle back to my original
feeding,
argument about feeding and how they feed the corals, right? So I look at it like this, the utilitarian and a few there for your own likes, but tanks, the xerosoma, and it's my absolute must-have in the SPS system. And then outside of that, you can have RASes, just for controlling like various the planarias, and then the mandarins and the schooler blennies. They're great for controlling pods. Believe it or not, you can have too much or too many pods. And there's certain pods that they build nests under the base of coral frags, that will prove detrimental because the coral cannot encrust. I'm not sure you.
Wow.
The Acro guys probably know what I'm talking about, and so the RAS will take care of those as well. And I like cardinal fish too. They create some sort of different dynamics. Cardinal fish, Anthias, chromis, just to have variety of different fish that have different diets. Therefore, they will produce different waste, and then I know my corals are getting complete, nutritional profile. Yeah.
You touched on pests then, just a little bit then, with regards to wrasses, etc. Have you experienced many in your years reefing?
I've experienced red bugs, white bugs, acro eating spiders. Those were the worst because those are automatic tear down right there because they hide in the substrate, they hide in the rocks.
Right.
Black bugs, all sort of. Hold on a second. Sorry.
You all right?
No, you can't use that.
Why?
Because I'm not. It's over. Use another one. Okay.
I want to go into this very first time's up.
Hold on a second. Tom, what's your favorite fish?
Don't like moving it. I'd say my copper band, to be fair, in my display tank downstairs. Clive. Copper band, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Dave, when's the new tank going in the bedroom? Come on, give us an update on that. We'll wait for Kenny.
Got to wait for Sean, mate, haven't we?
Yeah.
Looking hopefully middle of May sometime.
Yeah.
When Sean's ready. Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. Hope his back's feeling up for it.
You're going from a 3-foot tank you've got now to a 5-footer, aren't you? Is that right?
Yeah, 3 to 5 foot. Keeping it still mainly LPS, and Lee's going to take some of my zoas from me and Pally's. He's going to take them away from me. Yeah, I know.
So just to sort of fill Kenny in. So you've had how many tanks now from Aqua?
This is my from Aqua.
From your new tank, in Aqua 1, sorry.
Oh, okay. So shit. Yeah, 3. Yeah.
3. So he ordered a brand new tank, Kenny. It came and the seals weren't silicon properly. So then They sent.
Oh.
Go on, I'll let you tell the story.
What
Dave.
brand is
Sorry,
that?
go on. Come on, Dave.
Well,
Hold on, I'm sorry.
I don't like slandering people, do I? So we just say that I received a tank. It wasn't very good.
It was Acro one,
received
wasn't it? Just a
Yeah.
yeah.
It was an Acro 1 tank. Received
Acro
the first
1,
tank, wasn't very good. The second tank wasn't much better, and the third tank was atrocious. So I've sorted it myself, which
3
isn't
tanks, brand new.
which isn't ideally what you want to do, but hey ho. You know, you take the positive from it. It's going to be good. It's running in the workshop at the minute. Got no fish in it, obviously, but yeah. Now we're getting.
Hey, is that tank custom or it come from like
no, it come from Acro 1.
Acro one?
Off the
They're
shelf.
Australian, aren't they? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what it is. You know, they're all mass production, aren't they? All these tanks. So
just to paint a scene, then Dave works as a. Go on. What's your job role?
I'm a mechanic.
Mechanic. Yeah. So fixing cars, MOTs, servicing cars. In his workshop is his new tank filled with water. Is that right?
Yeah.
To
correct.
do leak tests. Yeah. While he's working on MOTs in the workshop. But yeah, he's testing his new tank for leaks. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
As you do.
Not ideal, but it's what it is. So
bless him.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything to say on that, Kenny? You're looking
how many tanks?
confused.
How many tanks do you have again? How many tanks? 5?
3.
3?
Yeah, 3.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
Oh dear. No, Kenny, sorry, you were talking about pests then when your daughter came in. Thanks, Dave. When your daughter was coming in, you said spiders were the worst ones. You said.
Yeah. Spiders. Yeah, they were horrendous. I mean, they're so easy to take care of, but it's in the beginning. When I was doing a lot of importing, and the space was limited, so I had a tank that just I don't dip, because when coral first come in, they go in there, recuperate, then I dip, and then that's when I found those spiders. They only come out at night, so during the day they don't come out, you don't see them, and then during the day they would just
wow.
I at that time I ran the reborn media as my substrate, so those are very coarse, very large pieces.
Yeah.
And then it provided perfect habitat for those guys because during the day they just hide in the crevices. I can't see them, so even if you dip the coral, you're not gonna get any of them. They're not on the corals, so the symptom would be like the corals stop growing. They would there's no bite marks or anything, but they just look really bad, losing colors, and so decide one day flash, go out in the middle of the night, shine a flashlight, and boom, it's like it's like fuzzy. The core becomes fuzzy with the legs of the spideys. It's crazy, but it's hard. It was really hard to deal with.
And how did you deal with it? How did you overcome it? Did you treat anything or manually remove? How did you?
No, so there was not much information about that. Even today, there's not much information about the spiders. So just we did everything. Just transfer, redo the tank, dump all the substrate. It was a nightmare. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Right, corals. What have we got in here then? Talk to you about this sexy looking thing.
I haven't sold. Well, I just started releasing these pieces. I call it Game of Thrones. It grows in those like those blades out of the Game of Thrones. Yeah. So it's a really cool piece. It's like it's a relatively newer one that I have. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
King of the Cards, Optimus Prime again.
Yeah.
Pink
nice.
Panther.
Come on, so where's some of these names coming from? If you're the man that names them all, where do you? Because you've got one I've seen here that's called. Oh God, what's it called now? I talked about the. Let's have a look here. Hello Kitty. So who decided Hello Kitty? Is that your daughter, maybe, or something that you've? Or is it you? You.
There was a Hello Kitty sticker next to me, so I looked at it. Oh, it was pink.
I like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Because we've got there's some others here. Let me just throw some other names at you. Come on, give us some background. So we've got. Let's think of some interesting ones. Arctic Tundra.
Arctic Tundra. Yeah, that's an old school piece. That piece came all the way from the apartment times. I don't know. I think the color just reminded me of the. I was thinking it was blue because got the blue, and then Arctic icy blue. Tundra because it has green base, and maybe I was watching some Nat Geographic documentary at the same time about the Arctic. That's how the name came about. Yeah.
Okay. Trippy Lemonade.
Trippy Lemonade. I was googling.
Sounds like college time, doesn't it?
This is where
I was googling a drink that will match the color of the coral at that time. I think that's what came up. Yeah.
Ultimate Cakes.
Ultimate Cake. So it's just a more intensely colored strawberry shortcake.
All right. Okay. I'll let you off. Can you please explain one that you've named as Chick Magnet?
Chick Magnet. I think I was inspired by another name at that time. People were going. I was like, you got to give it all these names are boring. You got to give it a name that's just a conversation starter or something.
Right, okay.
I think at the time, I'm not sure there's a coral named Panty Snatcher in the US.
No, I do now. Okay.
And there's another coral called my daughter's not here. There's a coral called Titty Twisters. So you see the females going down there. So maybe Chick Magnet is a little bit less.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah. Okay. What else we got in here? Let's have a look. We've got a few more. Very nice. Any of these doing it for you, Dr. Steve?
What's that, sorry, Tom?
Any of these corals doing it for you? Anyone that stands out? Anyone that you'd have to have?
They all do a lot for me, mate. And the only upsetting thing is that some of them you can't have.
Yeah, true.
There is some which, you can get in here, but not.
Steve, you said that you run a calcium reactor and calculator too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm quite new on the calcium reactor side. So originally I was running calculator and 2-part, but it's just, I don't know, at one point I got fed up with the 2-part mixing and everything, and then I just decided going with calcium reactor. But yeah, I'm still new on this subject. But so far, one thing I can say for sure is phosphates are definitely a lot higher than what they were, because they were kind of zeroing out most of the times. And now with the calcium reactor, I can definitely get a reading. So
what media are you using for the reactor?
So I'm using it's the extra coarse
ARM.
ARM, yeah, that's it. ARM. What do you use?
I use that too. I use ARM.
Nice. Do you find it quite high in phosphate?
No, it shouldn't be. Do you run Fuse?
You do run ketomorpha, or?
Yes, I do.
So you probably don't really feel it the same way as I do. Because I'm not running any refugium or anything, so
right.
It does seem to creep up a little bit more, but again, it was zeroing out before, so I'm actually quite happy about it. Because now at least I can get some phosphates, which is great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm pretty sure it's a little bit too oversized for my tank, but yeah, we'll keep it easy for now and then.
How big is the tank?
well, that's the thing. So I've got a coral tray, which is quite wide and quite long, but really, really sort of shallow. So the amount of coral in there for a 250-liter tank is probably a little bit too much. I'm finding a lot of issues with having such a small volume tank when it has such a big footprint. It's just, yeah.
how to provide flow and how to light it, right?
Yeah, so flow is one of the hardest things. Like lighting's okay, because I've put it on sort of like on actuators, so I can lift the lights up quite high and then drop them down if I need to, just with the remote control. But flow, yeah, it's no easy way around that. When I put it sort of the way that I want it, it's usually not enough because you find detritus in the middle of the colonies. But when I put it as high so that detritus doesn't build up, it just seems way too much. So I don't know. I'm really
The
sort of.
detritus bothers you?
Hmm?
Detritus bothers you?
Yeah.
Well, you can't even look at my tank.
Well,
Liam's asking if you've got any.
Really easy to think
You're
of.
like you're like my business partner, Will. He can't even look at it. Like every spot that's detritus, he just got to siphon it out. Like,
I mean, I don't mind. It's just when it sort of collects in the middle of the colonies, you just have to go and turkey baste it all the time, you know.
Oh yeah, if they fall on your coral, then that's a problem.
That's the problem. I don't mind it being anywhere else. Like I can easily suck it off, but some colonies do get a bit more in the middle of them when the flow's kind of all right. But when I put it on to blast them too hard and there's no detritus, I can see polyp extension goes down. Especially because on such a shallow tank, you kind of bound to use gyres. I've tried the MP40s and they just they don't work. They blast the coral quite direct. So
I'm actually having the same issue you're having right now with my home tank. Certain corals on the side, on the corners, just getting detritus on it right now. Trying to figure out how to go about it. So the reason why I can't run my home tub the way I run it at the store is the tub I have is the Botanica, the white one. So it had these ridges on the side for structural. So at the store, I will run the Tunzi, the stream, down the bottom. So the flow will go across the bottom, and I will have gyres on the bottom tank to turn up the water. But because those ridges, it blocks the flow, so it makes no sense for me to have any power head on either side. So all power has to be on the surface, not on the bottom. It doesn't seem to work as well. So I'm trying to figure that out right now too. Yeah.
Yeah, flow. I think flow is probably the most annoying thing to get right on that sort of system.
Yeah.
Because light, if you get enough spread and just about enough power on a shallow tank, it will be okay because you just quite nicely spread. But flow is not easy, not at all. And the other thing I find having problems with, I don't know, you probably wouldn't be able to say because your systems, I would imagine, are a lot bigger volume than mine. But pH seems to be a very interesting phenomenon in my system. Because when the lights are on, and I use halides currently with sort of LED supplement.
Yeah.
So the swing of my pH is probably from around 8 to about 8.7. So it's about 8.7 during the day. And then at night, because it's so many coral, during the day photosynthesizing, and at night, obviously still raise fire, the pH just drops to 8, which is like 0.7 swing. And I'm pretty convinced that's just the water volume.
How big is the tank again?
Well, it's 250, but it's 5 foot it's 1.5 meters by 60 centimeters wide. And it's just corals from end to end in every single corner.
Nice. That's a good problem to have. So
how the coral... It is, but again, it just, with such a small amount of water, things get depleted so quick.
Yeah.
And the thing with the pH again is when they photosynthesize. Yeah.
So we run into an issue of basically there's more coral mass than there's water volume.
Yeah, a lot more. Well, you can imagine. So I'm doing the calcium reactor now, and also 5 liters of kalkwasser on a 250 liter tank. So you would imagine that it's kind of like.
You have room to add a bigger sump?
Well, the thing is, I'm due to move here in less than a year. So the last thing I want to start doing is changes, because then I'm gonna have to just change everything over again anyway.
Right. So
I'd rather just do it.
Coral's doing fine. I don't think you should worry about
Yeah.
it. But if you worry about this pierce swing, you could just add extra body of water. So make a bigger
Well, that's
sump.
one thing the big calcium reactor did for me as well, which is nice, because it's really, really big. And I think that just adds a bit more water, which is great. But
yeah,
Just add another wheelie bin to it, Steve.
Yeah.
yeah, it won't work.
Any questions, anybody, before we move on? Josh, Dave, Steve,
I
anything?
was just going to ask him on the fish subject.
Yeah.
Do you find, is there any sort of ratio, sort of on small and big fish you want to keep, or do you just do a mixture of whatever?
No, I mean, I usually, based on the size of the tank, obviously what I start out with. It just really comes down to if the fish can coexist at the end of the day. I don't think there is issue to having too many fish. I know people may disagree with me on that, but I think if you read about these articles about how fishing is detrimental to a reef, they're saying that a healthy reef have a large biomass of fish, and yes, you're in the ocean, water constantly coming in and washing it off, whatever the fish is producing. But as far as I'm concerned, we are also removing a lot by doing water changes and mechanical infiltration and biological filtration. So we need the fish to keep up with the removal of nutrient, removal of waste. So I usually try to stock as much as I can without causing any issues, like where the fish can still thrive. For the grow outs, 100% utilitarian. For the display, then I do add some small fish there if I can see. There's no point adding small fish.
That's what I was more interested in. So, do you think is a problem just having really big sort of fish like tangs, fox faces, and so on, or do you think it's good to mix them up? Because Ape from Coral Euphoria.
Yeah.
On a couple of his streams, he was saying how there is a good ratio is 30% big fish to 70% small fish.
Right.
Just so that you have the different, difference between the poop sizes and all that.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to have a good variety of fish, because we know that the fish poop provides nutrient to the coral. We don't know how much they do provide, because the paper does mention that there's some fish is high in manganese and low in others, while some fish are high in zinc and low in others, just based on diet. So I guess their internal system is designed to break down certain food a certain way. But as far as we don't know what that portion is, so I would just go with as much variety as you can. That makes sense. Obviously you don't want to jam a 5 Achilles in the 100-gallon, or that wouldn't make sense. It's just whatever it allowed the fish to be healthy and thrive, because that fish don't do any good either. So
yeah. Okay, thank you.
I'm just downloading some of your videos that you sent me. You sent me some videos of some corals as well, Kenny, that are worth showing on the screen now. See if I can.
What's the coral in the background? Is that Jekyll and Hyde?
Pink Lamborghini. It's our pink Lamborghini. Yeah.
Because on some sides of it looks like a pink Cadillac.
Yeah, it does have that resemblance, but it definitely, the pink is a lot more intense. I think the pink Cadillac does not have the yellow corallite on there and the green base.
Yep.
So it has more color combination than the pink Cadillac.
Liam was asking earlier, Kenny.
It's an upgrade.
Sorry, Kenny Lin was asking earlier, any corals from the UK that you'd like to get your hands off if you could? Probably not, but we'd always ask the question.
Say all I was
Any green corals you'd like?
You guys have a flamethrower variants of have a flamethrower variants over there. That's interesting. Like the smooth skins that I like to try out if I could get my hands on.
Okay.
So the smooth skin there's not a lot of variety here.
Right. Okay.
Right, going back to fish, Kenny, you say about obviously you're feeding your fish really heavily. Is it a case of you just choose whatever frozen food you have at hand, or do you have like a specific mixture you like to use? Because I know there's a lot of other stores potentially make their own frozen mixes, don't they, where they throw certain amounts in blenders, make a big sort of chum of food. Is there anything that you really focus your attention on trying to get to the fish?
No, I try to keep it simple. So we feed frozen mices, the PE mices.
Yeah.
For frozen, and dry food we feed flakes, the prime wheat flakes. And then we feed. We also have seaweed on a clip for the tanks. But primarily the frozen mices. That's it. Because the mice they have the shell, have the legs, the tentacles, and then there's a lot of nutrient in those. And I just love the smell after you feed mice. I'm not sure you guys get that smell. Like when you feed them mice after it smells oceany. It reminds me of the beach.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Did you say PE mice you use?
PE mice, yeah.
Do you defrost it? Do you defrost it first, or I know some people have gone through the sort of effort they microwave it to try and kill off anything that could be harmful in there, or is it you just dump the frozen cube straight in?
There's a video of me just straight up dumping a cube of it, pulls it over. So if I don't have time, I just dump the cube. I don't even thaw it. But if I have time, I let it thaw and then feed it. Because again, our system currently is low nutrient poor, so we want to add as much as that juice is probably has some stuff that we want to keep.
When you say nutrient poor, obviously for some person or some people I should say, nutrient poor might be sort of 0.01 phosphate. But then the next refit could be anything below 0.1 might be considered low for them. What do you have specific numbers that you sort of want to try and keep above and below?
Like under 0.05 on phosphate, and then nearing 0 on nitrate. So those are our numbers. So those are very, very low. So we like to keep it higher.
Yeah.
So
is there a number?
I think there's a discrepancy between the test kit that we have in the store versus ICP. So ICP shows otherwise. ICP does show 10 to some 10 and single digit on nitrate. We're on our test kit. You can't really tell. It looks like it's 0. But it's too low for my liking anyway. So I just want to raise. I can tell because I feed so much, and then I would go away for 4 days, come back, and then the store. Obviously, the guys are busy, and the tanks are not getting fed as much. And I come back, I can see right away the corals are not like they would lighten in color. They like something just seem like off, and I mean, I'm sure you guys know when you look at a coral every day and if a coral is not happy or not. And then, I start feeding a lot again, and then the polyps extension and the vigor will come back. So you could tell it's like I could tell, but it's hard to explain it, right? Because only unless you know your coral, know your tank, you can tell. But to explain to other people, it's really hard to explain that.
That's exactly what you mean, Kenny.
Yeah. What test kits do you use now? Curiosity.
Phosphate. And the alkaline, I use Hannah checker, and then the nitrate, just use the API. But I do ICP tests on certain tanks, then we get a lot of insight into it.
Yeah. Is that a regular thing? Do you do them monthly, or are they quite sporadic that you'll just do them when you feel necessary?
It's like almost like a quarterly thing. It's on the tanks that we do the moonshiners on right now.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Those.
Right, let's look at some corals. We're getting to the 2-hour mark now. Let's look at some videos you sent me. I'm hoping these are going to work. Let's have a look. Here we go. So
this is the tank this is the detritus tank. This is the tank that I mentioned that don't get any dosing, don't get any trace element added. just runs on calcium reactor, kalkwasser, large fugium, and a moderately sized skimmer. So interesting about this tank, right? So I want to say this is the best color tank in the store. It wasn't until I downsized on the skimmer. So I used to run a Vertex, ready for 200 gallon. The tub is a 180 gallon tub with a 40 gallon fuge. So you can do it's a large fuge, and then maybe a 30 gallon stock tank. And I could, the skimmer. I was under the principle of always oversize the skimmer because the manufacturer always undersize theirs on their sizing, but it wasn't producing much skimming, So I downsized, and as soon as I downsized, the coral really flourished. I think a lot of it has to do with that. And this tank gets constantly water changed because we ship the most out of it. And it's a result of its success because it does so well. So a lot of sales happen in this tank. And because we ship so much, when we ship, we literally does its own water change. And so I think a lot of it comes from that. And then this is the tank with the 3-inch, probably 4-inch now, deep of the detritus bed in the sump. So I don't know. I mean,
how much would you say that is water changed? How much water would you say is taken out of that tank then a week, roughly, percentage-wise?
So we schedule a 20% water change every week, but then when we ship, we take out a lot. I don't have a quantity. I don't have a measure of. Sometimes we ship a lot. Sometimes I ship a little. When we have a live sale, we ship like 50, 100 frags out of it in a day, or sometimes we don't ship at all. Then we just like 1 or 2 or whatnot. Yeah. So you can imagine a 3-inch bag. You get like 100 of those. It's a good amount.
Yeah.
And we use Instant Ocean throughout the store, the purple box.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which tank's this one then, Kenny?
This is Chris's 120. We broke it down because we wanted more room. We got a bigger tank in this place. This tank he ran using 2 parts, Instant Ocean. And one thing that interesting about this tank, right? At the time of this filming, I wanted to film it because let me capture this tank at its peak. But also note that it was running at close to 6 DKH of alkalinity, but it was thriving.
Wow.
Yeah. And he at the time he was only part-time. So I think the way he maintained that DKH was through a water change. The 2-part was not keeping up. That was it. Just 2 parts of water change on this tank.
Wow. Nice tank, that, isn't it? Really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the pilot extension on this tank was phenomenal too.
You said when we first started that sometimes you bang heads with some of your colleagues. What are your typical sort of frustrations with each other, or should I say differences in reefing opinions?
Yeah, of course, because we always try to prove each other wrong, but at the end of the day, everyone has their own, because everyone's done it for a period of time.
Yeah,
a certain number of years. They all think that their way is the best, but a lot of things I learned from them through butting heads, because like the reason why I butt head with Chris was that I was like, hey guy, look, my corals are bleaching. What do you think is going on? Right? I'm trying to diagnose the problem. And then he said he tested the water, and then he tested nitrate, and tested nitrate was 0. Then he suggested that I dose nitrate, and I disagreed. I did not feel like it was a good way for me because it was an additional. And my mind like, why not just add more fish or feed more? Because I was like, this tank has been underfed. It's been like this in the past. We were successful, but now we're introducing a new variable that we have to diagnose when there's an issue. I'm not discounting the effectiveness of dosing nitrate, but we could easily achieve this with adding more fish or feeding more. And this was also my personal tank that's right next to where I work. So I want to say, okay, if I dose nitrate, I got to fit that into my schedule. I got to add it to my workflow. I don't want to hand dose, then I got to get a doser. And then there's another moving piece that could a point of failure. Like, I'm thinking like this, and then from Chris, because Chris's standpoint is like, all right, this is an immediate fix. You know, you can fix this issue right away, and then you can worry about feeding more later on. So I think the bottom line is we both mean well, but I guess Chris wasn't seeing from my point where I wasn't able to tend to the tank, so therefore I'd automate this process. It's just extra workflow for me. Why don't we just feed more, or why don't we just add more fish and then feed more? And his approach of, well, if you do nitrate for a couple of weeks, you can just fix it. So I think that's where the disagreement came about. I guess it's like comes down to your style of reefing. Not necessarily what is the right way to reef, but that's just the style of reefing. But I was like, you know what? Let me try your way. If you can dose nitrate for me when I'm not here or whatnot, you can take care of that. Then we can test it out. You know, try it out. But again, I don't want it to
just start peeing in the tank. Just
pee in the tank. Yeah, don't go to the bathroom. Just go here, right?
Didn't you say you run a refugium as well?
Yeah, I run a refugium as well. Yeah.
Not just dial that back a bit.
No, I do think that. So that tank goes through different phases of skimmer scheduling, also, which I did not discuss in depth with Chris, because I had the skimmer on 12 hours, off 12 hours, and then it's a bubble king mini. It's certainly oversized for that system. So I've been thinking about maybe changing it out because I'm starting to see like the skimmer is not getting produced that much. But I don't do water change on that tank. Kevin does. And maybe sometime when he turns it back on, it maintains that schedule, so it turns it back on. So I'm thinking maybe the skimmer schedule is not consistent. That may be the issue. And it also happened during season change when we around this time right now. And I'm wondering the temperature is getting warmer has anything to do with that, because that tank does go through a swing of like 2-3 degrees between day and night. But it wasn't an issue, you know, the whole time through winter. You know, winter was thriving. So I was just trying to narrow down what the issue could be on the bleaching. It's not like peeling, you know, color's not peeling. It's just like, you know, fading. Color's just fading on it. So.
Right, let's look at some more corals you sent me. Share screen. Sorry, I'm having to share screen on all these. Here we go. So, what's this bad boy? Who's this?
Yeah, this is the Tangerine Sky. Tangerine Sky from what's the place? Tangerine Sky. Similar to the Tangerine Dream or the Kofifi that we have.
Yeah.
Similar to the Dreamcatcher, the same species, the Acro Cytheria is the same species as that. Love these coral. They oh yes. I actually found this coral in another LFS in the corner, and because I frequently visit other LFS, and when I used to go, this coral never caught my eye. It was never this color. It was like green or something. I don't remember. Greenish, but some reason I went like turned this different organ. Oh my god, what is this? I don't know. So,
and do you think for people at home who've got who've got SPS corals, do you think that people can bring other colours out or can get more from their existing stock? I mean, I know we've obviously talked about it already this afternoon that, you know, we don't have access to some of the corals or most of the corals you've got. Do you think that people can do certain parts of maybe testing or husbandry or trace elements, lighting, nutrients? What advice, I suppose, is what I'm asking, would you give people watching today that want to try and get more out of their current acros, maybe?
So,
colour?
Yeah, I get that question quite a lot, you know, so I have an answer for that. I think today we have too many gadgets. We're overcomplicating things too much. So I would say go back to the basic and find somebody that runs tanks that you like, right? So who you take advice from is very important because I think Renato from PRZ has a good saying. I really, really believe that if the tank ain't nice, don't take the advice, right? So that's number one. And then number two, once you take the advice, you stick to that person's advice and then try to emulate that. And then therefore, you don't want to take his advice and then his advice and then try to mix the two, then you're going to run into issues. The reason why it worked for one person may not necessarily work for the other person because each tank is like a fingerprint, very unique. So by emulating one person's methodology, you learn a lot, and you therefore developing your own. And so you're going to ultimately become your own reefer. You're never going to be anybody's reefer. You're never going to have anybody's method. You're going to have your own method. But when you first start, you're going to copy the way he does things. And it may not work. It may not work. Then you try to figure things out. So through figuring things out, that's when you really learn the method, learn the way. So that's the best way. And if people want to say they want to buy from us and they want to do things our way, I just always say, nutrient flow light, and the way we believe, just keep things basic and simple. Only add things that are making a difference, that you can measure either through measurement test kit, or you can measure through like observation, right? You have to expect to fail, I guess. If you come into the hobby expecting to have a beautiful reef tank right off the bat, then it's not the right hobby for you. You have to have it's a very humbling experience, like even today, even for me, I'm still learning. I'm still a student of the reefing hobby, and I don't know everything. And the only reason I'm successful is because I have a good team with me, and then everybody brings in their own, everyone brings in their ideas, and then everyone learns a lot more from each other, right? So I guess keep your expectation low, stay humble, and stay simple. That's what I can say.
Ooh, what's this one? This is very nice. Blowtorch, I believe. Is that right?
Jason Fox blowtorch. Yeah. This is a very beautiful piece and very hardy too. Yeah. This one is in the tank that's currently having issues, but it's not. This is still rocking though. This piece did not lose any color.
Wow. Right. Well, we got to the 2 hour mark. Josh, Dave, Steve, anything you want to touch on with Kenny before we look at that?
The only thing I just wanted to ask Kenny is, do you use activated carbon? And if you don't, then why not?
Do I what?
Do you use activated carbon at all?
Oh, do I act? No, I don't. It just takes too much out. Again, I have not used it for years. I used it in the beginning when I started new tanks. But I realized I don't see any observable benefit when I was running it. And secondly, I felt like when I add you gotta always be careful. You add too much, and you don't know what's taken out. This is the thing, Mark. This is the thing. There's so many unknowns around it. All right, so I'm trying to take out yellow tint. There's other ways to do it. You can run a UV to clarify your water, but you run carbon. I don't know what I'm taking out. Yeah, I'm taking out the color. Okay, but specifically, what am I taking out? Can you tell me? Right? I don't know the answer to that. So I rather take out less and leave more for the corals than take out more, and now I have to dose it back. I don't know what's taken out, but to be honest with you, so I don't run it, and unless like I have some toxin or that I know sure that that I need to do some corrective measure on. Otherwise, I don't run it.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Thank you very much, Josh. Anything, Dave? Anything before we?
No, I think some of the information that Kenny's dropped there during the stream has been absolutely invaluable. I think a lot of people have learned quite a lot from him, so it's been really good having him on.
Especially with him just waking up and having to deal with an impatient daughter.
Yeah, no problem, man. I would appreciate your invite to talk reef. I'm always down to talk corals and reef. Yeah, and I'm happy to I get to learn about you how I know that SPS is not a big thing over there, so a small community. So maybe it's great. Hopefully you get to talk more about it and grow the hobby there more. As far as SPS is concerned.
Definitely. I think there's more. It's more a case of making people sort of encouraging people to take the first steps into the SPS. Maybe I think there's a lot of people, like I said earlier, in terms of cost, and maybe they've tried a piece before and had a bad experience. It's stripped, it's died, and maybe don't want to go back in for that second helping. A lot of that's to do with price and availability, but I think the more knowledge and the more people like yourself that come on that have got, who are honest enough to say that they still make mistakes, it should encourage people to keep trying, give it one more go.
I mean, I think you guys are all SPS ready, as far as I know. You guys can all SPS. Like looking at Dave's tank in the background, Tom's tank, Oh, so let me just so the tank that I started at the house, I added corals pretty much a month into it, starting up. SPS corals, and I think it's not as scary as people think it is. I use live rock. I didn't use any dry rock, so I have this rock curing for a month too. I planned it out before I started the tank, and then I started with kalkwasser. So I saturated the water with calcium carbonate, kalkwasser, the tank, and then I think at that point, I put the coral in. When you bring coral in, the coral brings its own bacteria on the plug, on the coral itself, and it's not that scary, man. Like you just add fish. I mean, you guys already have successful mature tank running in the background. If you add a coral, SP coral, and it dies, it's like easier to diagnose than having a tank full of SPS and then stuff are not doing well, because you gotta wonder why is this one SPS dying where the rest of them are doing well. Whereas if you have a whole tank of healthy coral, you have SPS, then it's very easy. Like either your nutrient level or calcium or your level is not where they at, you can fix it. Or a lot of times you blame yourself, but it's actually not you, it's the coral or where they come from. Because like I said, I said, we stop. Not that we stop, but we try to avoid importing wild and just try to source our coral from other hobbyists, other fish that's buying, like that stag that you guys saw. It's something that's been going in the back of a tank in another LFS, and if you get a good strain with a good DNA, they will thrive, and they really even in the tank that's bleaching, you can tell like the stuff that's really resilient are the ones that have been aquaculture for a long time in the hobby. So if you just stick to that mentality, like, look, you won't try to buy aquaculture that's been proven, and you have a healthy tank already. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to keep SPS, given that you have to dip your corals always. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Corals. Yeah,
definitely. Would you come on again and have another chat with us?
I'm happy to.
Marvellous. Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, I don't know what you've got planned for the rest of your Sunday afternoon, Kenny. It looks like you've got a daughter to entertain and maybe a missus to take out shopping or for a meal. I don't know. But and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, man. And thanks ever so much for coming on and giving us your Sunday morning over in New York City. Well, thanks, Dave, Steve, Josh. Appreciate it as always. Right, I will wrap us up there. Thank you ever so much, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Kenny, it's been an absolute pleasure. You are the man. We look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care, mate. Cheers. Thank you, guys. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.